どうも、獅子玄白と申します。Well, just a few hours ago before this recording, I went to the movie theaters, the cinema, and watched the newest film on screening. That's right, the newest film that's on screening for April Fool's Day is Morbius. Actually, there's two. Morbius and Sonic, but as much as I like Jim Carrey as an actor, I don't like Sonic. Sonic gave me too much trauma from Smash Ultimate Online. So, no, that's a hard pass. So, I went there and watched Morbius instead. I'm a comic book fan, you see. Ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe just came out, comic book movies becoming big blockbusters somehow just become a thing. So that's what I've decided to watch. And had I not watched The Batman approximately 1 month ago, this would be a very good movie experience. The problem is, it's not. It's not a good film. It's mediocre at best. Like, yeah, I appreciate the method acting of many other actors, as well as Jared Leto is able to connect to the character he portrays with his own personal real-life personality, but we love Jared Leto's acting because of his method acting, not because of his real-life personality. Although it's still good actor's portrayal of the character. It's just not as good as his previous performances. Still, trying to portray Michael Morbius kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, it's pretty hard, and it's easy to screw up. So, this is gonna contain a little bit of spoilers. So, if you don't want if you don't want to get spoiled from the movie, I suggest you click off of this video recording. I have provided you approximately 30 seconds to save yourself from spoilers. Alright, so Dr. Michael Morbius is a vampire. He's a medical doctor and a vampire. And he has this vampirism because he went to Colombia to get vampiric bats from a certain cave, and then he started doing some experiments on those bats. What I'm trying to say is that they're trying to give Morbius the living vampire a more relatable, or should I say, a more just modern day approach towards his backstory, because when Michael Morbius was first introduced in the comics, we just have, voila, we have this vampiric bad guy for Spider-Man. And good luck. And still, Spider-Man's gonna win, but we gotta find we gotta find a way to make Spider-Man realize it's his responsibility. Same goes here for Morbius because it's his solo movie, and Sony's own standalone cinematic universe is basically just the outside circle of anything related to Spider-Man. But because they didn't really use Spider-Man in this film, they gotta have traditional villains to become anti-heroes. And the motives of this of this film from the protagonist and the villain is that they have a blood disease and they're trying to cure their own blood disease. With it comes power and how you choose to handle the power. As power corrupts, when is enough, and how do you use it for the greater good? Michael Morbius believes that he's the ultimate lab rat, and once he realizes his mistake, kind of like Dr. Victor Frankenstein, when he created the Frankenstein's monster, he refuses to give the monster a mate, which is kind of like the reason why he turned away his surrogate brother Milo when it seems favorable that he has already figured out a cure from the sickness, but what costed him was vampirism. He has to seek out blood to maintain his newfound strengths and abled body. He needs to consume blood constantly, and the more blood that's consumed, the more irresistible the beast from inside, the carnal rage and the carnal power from within just gets out of control. And it's not gonna, it's kind of like a getting high from drug, and after several frequent intakes of that drug, your tolerance against it just goes down, and you just keep on wanting more. Or another relatable analogy is just when you play a game, for example, Civilization, you're like, oh, this game is interesting. I plan to play this game for 20 turns, 25 turns, and then I'll just call it for a day. However, after 20 turns, and everything that happens, you get into it, and you're like, one more turn, just one more turn. I need to destroy that CPU or other player. Just one more turn, one more fight, one more yada yada yada. And when you end the action, you realize it's 3 a.m. and you still haven't finished the game. You're like, just one more turn. I need to beat him. I need to totally annihilate him. And it's 3 a.m. You're totally fatigued. You have to catch the school bus, or should I say, get to work for your part-time, and you're still sitting in your gaming room with your gaming PC still on, playing the game. It's very addictive. And then there's the mentor role of Nicholas. He didn't really do much. He did offer the opportunity that kind of made both Michael Morbius and Milo had their egos way above most people are, to the point that they made difficult and stupid decisions like, I gained this vampiric power. Instead of being good, I shall just slaughter people to maintain my profound powers and do whatever I like. Milo is a very good foil to Michael, because Michael is trying to find a way to make up from his mistake. He's trying to be a better person. He's trying to do something good. He's trying to overcome his carnal instincts. He's also trying to get it under control so that he could use the power to help others. Just like how he used his scientific background to create artificial blood to help others, to prolong life, to just have new options, create scientific breakthrough that is generally good to society. Well, Milo, because he's rich and he's just he wants to escape death. He doesn't really feel loved because he didn't really have the knowledge to give out. He's the benefactor. He has to he has to give out like way more to receive the same type of recognition that Michael has. He turns to evil. He turns to his carnal instincts, and when he attains the power, he goes the berserk, the uncontrollable berserker route of selfishness and just kill, consume, kill anyone who goes against him, even if it was just a slight criticism against him. That's what happened. And he just wants to see the world burn after he was bullied by others. It's kind of like a trauma. Well, he felt that other people are gaslighting him. It's like, why don't you just be like Michael Morbius and be selfless? He finds it difficult, but it's not a very good excuse. And Martine is just I don't really know how to describe her. She's kind of like the love interest, but she suffers the same fate as Sergeant Mulligan from Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Like, he's supposed to die, be impactful, but then again, at the very end of the movie, he reawakens and gains similar power. It's just like the comic book cliche of we kill off a character but not really revive them with a new power, and we'll see what happens in the sequel. Like yeah, she's like, so like Patrick Mulligan receives a little bit of carnage, so he's supposed to be killed by Streak, but he turns up alive with a new glow in his eyes, a different pupil when he reawakens. Same goes with Martine. Like, Milo supposedly kills him so that he could infuriate the main protagonist, forcing him to give in to the carnal instincts within him before Michael Morbius realizes no. In spite of that, he has to overcome and think of a different way to defeat the villain. But then again, her death is quickly undone because she just apparently just bit Michael Morbius's lip and consumed his blood, and without needing to use the specialized formula from the bats, she gains similar powers, similar vampiric powers, just from like just consuming Michael Morbius's blood. And it's not really, it's something that is like, why would you do this? And I know that vampires according to like Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you have to impale them with a specific type of material to kill the vampire. Apparently, that's the same thing that happens to Milo at the very end, but like their fight isn't really what you really is. It isn't really what you see from the Batman, nor is it really the type of CGI action between Eddie Brock and Carnage. It's just high speed CGI wave actions clashing. Although the slow-mo CGI looks very good, but other than that one instant, everything is just like wave action all around. You see animation just moving across the screen very fast, and you don't see the hand-to-hand combat, nor do you see like the two projectile tug of war thing between like range users, like when you have like two different users shooting Kamehameha to each other. You don't really see that. All you see is just wave motions between two different vampires trying to gain the upper hand advantage with echolocation. And the whole vampiric bat at the end on how Michael Morbius defeats Milo, it's just anticlimactic. It's like, yes, you finally made Michael Morbius fall, and that's just it. You didn't really show Michael Morbius's realization on like how to beat the villain when the villain is standing tall against the protagonist and is about to finish the protagonist off.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I failed to realize that the series is on, so that's a bit awkward. But that's also what you feel when Michael Morbius just suddenly use echolocation to summon all the bats to push a jumping Milo with a javelin back into the wall and stab him with a smaller stick. It's just how, and it's very awkward and anticlimactic. When the film ends and there's the mid-credit scenes, it's actually split between two different mid-credit scenes before the credits, before the traditional credits of like a black screen rolling names. We discovered that Adrian Toomes, or also known as Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming, he's transported from the MCU to the Sony universe, and because the Sony universe doesn't know who Adrian Toomes is or what crime he has committed, he is let free. And before the whole credit starts, Adrian Toomes finds Morbius and proposed to team up. And we're kind of getting a new version, a new incarnation of Sinister Six, the Sinister Six, with the first two members being Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, and Michael Morbius. The question is, who would be going against him, or are they gonna gang up against Spider-Man? If we're going with the latter, which Spider-Man? Is it gonna be Tom Holland, or is it gonna be Andrew Garfield? We don't know. It's definitely not gonna be Tobey Maguire because his story is like wrapped up in full circle. Like, it doesn't make sense to get a 46-year-old Tobey Maguire to fight in full action against 6 villains in the same time. Like, we have the Sinister Five from Spider-Man No Way Home with past villains. The Sinister Six with new villains. We don't really know who they're gonna face against, but Sony is hinting for a new sequel to build up their Spider-Man universe. So all we could hope is to all we could see just predict is what are Sony's new plan, regardless whether Morbius rocks the box office or bombs it. Although there's another plot hole because Adrian Toomes is from the MCU. From No Way Home, the two spells are the first one that got the past villains into MCU was having all the villains who knew Peter Parker is Spider-Man get into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, while the second spell is to send everyone from the multiverse out, send them back. With that case, Vulture shouldn't be sent out because he's from the MCU. He would just forget who Spider-Man is, Peter Parker. And we kind of see that Vulture doesn't really mention Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he still has a grudge against Spider-Man. However, we have no mention of his family because he's transported to Sony's universe, and he's not from Sony's universe, so why would he be sent here? It's just a mind fuck. But I'll leave you here right now, and my final verdict for this film is just a 7 out of 10. It's not a bad movie to watch, but there's a lot of flaws, and it's just the same thing as Venom Let There Be Carnage. There is action. It's not good, but there's still action that we are promised. The story's aight, and there's too much flaws in the plot, and there's too much plot points that are unexplained or just roughly got through, like rushed. So 7 out of 10. It's not as good as the Batman or the Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's not as bad as the Eternals or Black Widow. So I'll leave you there. That's all for this video recording. This is Shishio Genhaku with his lengthy video on Morbius review impression analysis, kind of 3-in-1. And I will see you in the next video recording. Shishio Genhaku off.